Okay, so this is the story of the Sleeping Beauty, as told by the Storyteller. Oops. Okay, it would have been. It's a short story. But yes, it's a story I heard from the Storyteller long ago. Supposedly from before even the runner's time. The Sleeping Beauty was an alien, in fact, and he had a curse that he couldn't stay awake in darkness. Like, I know you normally sleep when it gets dark, but he actually could not stay awake. And so he traveled. He rode as fast as he could to never end up in the darkness at night. He would try and keep up with the sun itself. But as legend had it, he was never going to be able to keep that up forever, and one day he would fall asleep and never awake again. And that's the basic story. The trick is that there's more to this story. The Storyteller doesn't work for the government as such, but he's associated with them, and so he's telling a myth. What he assures us is just something he made up. Or they made up. And okay, just going to take a minute to collect my thoughts here. Let's actually take it from the top. What we know about the Sleeping Beauty. For an alien, he was beautiful. He was described as having flowing hair, whatever that is, and beautiful eyes, plural, which, I don't know, seems weird to me, but whatever, he's an alien, he can have multiple eyes. But I don't know, there could be a way that it was real. Like, he's obviously not anywhere on the planet, but think about it. What if he was traveling through space? What if he wasn't chasing the sun around the planet? What if he was chasing the sun? Nope. Did I disconnect? Okay, give it a moment to catch up. Yes, the digger's idea is that it's a bit of a riddle. Well, actually, forget that for now. Short version. Her idea is the Sleeping Beauty traveled through space and crash landed on the planet. And who knows, he may have brought the elders with him. I don't know about that part. Like, Digger says he brought the founder with him, but we've, like, not supposed to tell you this, but I work in the government, I would know. The founder isn't real. So, just as much of a story, well, a better known story, but just as much of a story as the Sleeping Beauty. But, like, we worked on the idea, and it's... if... It might be that it's a real thing. Something traveled through space and landed here. And maybe that's... who knows? Maybe that's where we all came from. Oops. But yes, it's the digger hasn't been able to dig too far down, but she hopes to find proof someday that we all came from someone or something who traveled the stars. Well, we wouldn't have expected a government agent to admit all that so readily, but... but, yeah, child, don't believe him about the founder. The founder does exist. He's just covering that up, like everything else. But he might not be lying about all the other stuff. Like this whole thing about, because you think about it, if okay, dodging meteors and everything else, until one day he ran into the planet and couldn't dodge it, and his ship carried the technology that would eventually become the factory. But, well... Okay. Getting back to the story, I know you want the story, not just our speculation. Okay, well, start from the top. The Sleeping Beauty grew up relatively normally for like his species, except as time went on, he noticed he had a harder and harder time staying awake at night and eventually couldn't. And it got worse. And one day he realized that he'd slept through half the day, too. He fell asleep at night and he slept all day. And he didn't know what was going on and needed to ask someone. And so he went and sought out the sage. And the sage was... well, the city had not been built, but the pinnacle still existed. At this time, it was at the top of a giant plant stalk. A giant vine reaching up into the sky. And so he climbed, but the sun was starting to set, because he had slept so late. And he had to push himself, he had to climb harder and harder to not, as the darkness crept up from below, as the sun went below the horizon, the darkness spread upwards. Because if he fell asleep, he might fall back down and never make it. And he put in an extra bursts of effort, pushed himself as hard as he could. But eventually, it didn't work. And just as the light was about to leave, he lay down on a giant leaf and held on as best he could. And called out in hopes that the sage would hear. And he fell asleep. And when he next came to, oh dear, he couldn't see. It took a while for his eyes to adjust to the bright light, because it was midday already. The sage was standing over him. She had climbed down and used her sash to tie him in place so he wouldn't fall. He averted his eyes from the sun. And he told her of his conundrum and asked... and he asked what he could do about it. And she frowned and shook her head and thought. So they got to the top, and the Sleeping Beauty had shared his life story. And the sage spoke, and as you know, she rarely speaks, but when she does, she is always right. And she told him that nothing... the only thing to be done is to keep out of the darkness. That if he didn't do that, one day he would end up stuck on the dark side of the planet and would sleep forever. And he asked her how to avoid that, and she pointed down at the surface, and where the supporter lived. And outside the supporter's place were dozens of vehicles built by him, and of all kinds, flying, hovering, ones that ran along the ground, perhaps some that that could dig into the planet. And She didn't speak, but the Sleeping Beauty understood. He would have to borrow the fastest vehicle and chase after the sun so he could stay awake. And it would be up to him. So he climbed back down. Humans are quite heavy, you know, so it was faster going down than going up. And he made it down that same day. And spoke to the supporter. And the supporter, surprisingly to no one, the supporter was happy to help. And gave him a vehicle and showed him how to use it, and told him that the vehicle was solar powered too, and could keep going for as long as he managed to stay in the sunlight. And so he did. And he drove, and he drove. And eventually, he got better and better. Consistently moving faster, keeping up with the sun, but wasn't meant to last forever. That, as legend has it, he was never going to be able to escape this fate. And but now he's sleeping, and well, we don't know if even if we found him, we'd be able to wake him up. But my thought is that if he does exist, then the government has him and wants him asleep. But he did important things in the meantime. He helped people along the way. He lived happily, but now he's gone or captured or something. And that's about it. Okay, so now I'd like to share my interpretation of the story, because yeah, that's a good start, and thank you for sharing it. But we're missing the point that this fits in so nicely with the greater lore as we understand it of the flying spaghetti monster and the beginning of the universe itself. As you know, the flying spaghetti monster created the universe in a cooking accident known as the Big Spill. And after the Big Spill, he created pirates to sail to the seas he had And among these were the Midget and the Blackbeard. And all the others. Like, you should know them. Yes, all of this... The pirates had the similar mandate to never... to always keep moving, to never slow down. It wasn't so much that they needed the light. It was that the whoops, keep on doing that. Well, yes, the pirates made mistakes, of course, but none as big as the big spill. That's something to always take comfort in, that the biggest mistake in the universe has already been made, and it turned out well, so don't worry so much about your smaller mistakes. But yes, the Sleeping Beauty could have been one of the first pirates. Sailing forever to explore the uncharted waters. And the reason we don't see him anymore isn't that he's asleep. It's just he's left. He's moved on. That the pirates had their job of planting seeds, real or metaphorical, wherever they went. And yes, it's definitely true, as Pastafarian lore holds it. The factory came from a seed planted by one of the, in fact, by Blackbeard himself. And so if Blackbeard was this Sleeping Beauty, and you were talking about, how the Sleeping Beauty might not have just run around the planet, he might have sailed between planets, between stars even. That's exactly what the Blackbeard did, and he came and he planted the seed that would turn into the factory. And then he... and then he left. We don't know to where. We don't know where he is. He's not asleep somewhere, caught by the government, or just somewhere dark. No, he's doing fine. And he's off to find more planets. But yes, that's... You already know about all about pirates and their mandate to help everybody they find, and their codes. Why doesn't someone else tell the story for now, and I'll chime back in when I have something else to say. Okay, so I was just thinking, uh, you know how they were saying something about the dark side, the darkest side of the planet? Well, I just thought of what that is. Think about it. What's the darkest side of a planet? No? Guesses? No? It's the inside. The inside is always dark. It doesn't get light again. It's so what if he did crash into the planet? What if he crashed in so hard that he's now on the inside, where it's dark? And that's why he doesn't wake up. Like, I wonder. I wonder if someday. I think the digger is right. If we want to find the Sleeping Beauty, we gotta dig down. Do you think when we return we can, like, we jump out of the rocket and let it crash, and could it dig into the planet? Could we find the Sleeping Beauty when we get back? Well, yes, that's a good idea, but it's a good idea, but the thing about the planet, it's not. This is another government secret, by the way. So yes, as I was about to say before that little interruption, another government secret I've figured out is the planet is not. It looks, but it is not. It is not solid. It's just. It's just really thick clouds when you get down to it, or something like that. I don't understand the scientific bits. I just know that we're not going to be digging through the. We're not going to be reaching the surface and digging through. But it was a good idea, you know. Yeah, okay. say what you want about the government, but that is some nonsense that I have to correct right here. The planet is solid. Like, what else do you think the factory is built on? What do you think the digger is digging through? Now, what you're thinking of is the super the dense fluid core. Yes, it's supposedly, going by the digger, it's supposedly a mixture of gas and liquid, but eventually gets denser and denser, and the point is, you don't know what you're talking about. Also, we're not going to crash any rockets into the planet, because that would be a waste, because it is solid. Top layer is solid, at least. And that would be a waste. Okay, allow me to step back here, in here, and say, let's just take a break before this gets too heated. Relax, or imagine a pleasant, calm environment without all these other people making you angry. Let's take a moment. And remember that this is all just a story. And it's fine if stories aren't literally true. You don't have to believe in Blackbeard or anything even to be a Pastafarian. You can accept all kinds as long as you follow the general tenets. Sorry, there I go again. No, but so I firmly believe that we can get along. We've had such a nice discussion. So breathe in, breathe out. As you were saying. Oops. Okay, I'll give this a try. It's an interesting idea. I'll say that much. That's the best I can do. Take it or leave it. But no, we will. Yeah, child, you have some good ideas, good instincts as to how the physics are going to work, but no, we have no plans to even make it to the surface. We're going to air brake and land gently in the city. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, let's... Whatever, I'm bored of this. Dad, do you have another story? Honestly. Actually, I may need to go back on that. Okay, I'm sorry. Out of character. Out of character. I'm not sure I'm ready with my next story. I have the general idea of what it'll be, but I was going to need to figure out how it overlapped with this one, and how exactly how it worked out. I do. So I might have to tell that another day. Just wait. I've just about exhausted all my notes for this one, which is faster than I would have hoped. I would have, but I think I am going to well, may as well keep playing while I talk at you out of character, but yeah, at this point, I think I'm done with all the stories I have ready to tell. So we'll leave that little group chatting happily, or just imagine that they're chatting happily, or not so happily, as the case may be. Yeah, I'll talk about making this stream. I've had this idea for a long time that I would make up a one or several myths and legends for this culture about because any good culture needs its own myths and legends, and they really can't use the same ones we do, though I can certainly steal names and general concepts. But yeah, they have their own versions. And I've been kind of planning this stream for months. Just story, what I could tell, what it could be a metaphor for. As an excuse to play an interesting game on stream that I'd never played, or I'd never done a gameplay stream at all before. It's a little hard to play this while talking, but could be worse. I was hoping to be able to go on longer and show a particularly long run. But yeah, so it ended up as a couple months of prep. Well, not all focused on this, but been thinking of ideas for months, and I filled about 40 minutes, and part of that was restarting the computer. Which is a little unfortunate, but on the other hand, maybe it's a plus. A shorter stream that is more interesting, like constantly interesting. Or almost constantly. Yeah, I guess feedback on in Discord or in chat or in the comments. Should I do more of these? Should I just go back to working on the game? I don't think in the future I will reveal quite as much in other streams as I revealed in this one, but these will be ways to reveal interesting ideas and thoughts and what people, what the characters think is and isn't real. Okay, does the founder exist or not? I'm just going to go through all the characters and what they would answer to that question. So let's see. The angel says the founder does not exist. The angel's friends say the founder does not exist. The duplicator child and, well, the Pastafarian wasn't going to make trouble about it, but those three all do believe the founder exists. The Pastafarian probably believes it was one of the pirates who took that title. Let's see. I think the skater and gentleman both believe the founder exists. The student... I think the student isn't sure. And the runner declines to answer the question. The runner just changes the topic when that comes up. And I think that's everybody? Oh, everybody out in the tunnels. Let's see, the merchant probably does not. The sailor probably does. The chemist does. The demagogue. Demagogue isn't sure. Let's cause an argument or two with the negotiator, but they got through it. I think the merchant was already, well, if you consider streams canon, then the merchant was already canon. Anyway, may as well give a shout out to the game I've been playing. This is Race the Sun by Flipify or Flipfly or something. Flipify. Whoever it's by, it's a fun little game, and I do think made a great metaphor for this. And I guess I will clear something up. None of the versions of the story, of the Sleeping Beauty story that I told here are literally true in canon. But they are all myths that exist in canon. Like, it's canon that people tell this story. It's not canon that the Sleeping Beauty did these things for these reasons and had this curse and all that. Oh, feel like that may have been canon too. I usually double check the old stream, but there's a good chance I put the name in as the layer name. Oh wait, no, this was not not one of those. It was, yeah, it may have just been I named layer scene 1 or whatever. Okay, I may have... Well, I made a lot of things canon this stream. That this was the least of them. In any case... oh yeah, I guess as long as I'm making things canon, the 2 new names besides the Sleeping Beauty, the Supporter and the Storyteller, are both also elders. So there's one left. And I guess the one left will be the next story stream, because it's that's the story I have almost ready. Now I'm going to equip more gear. I didn't think to do this, but this is what I meant to do back during the part where I described that the Sleeping Beauty got much more experienced and got better at it. I meant to equip a bunch of upgrades at the same time. I would keep going, but I don't have a whole lot more to say, so it might be time to call the stream. Thank you all for watching, and I will, hopefully this Tuesday I will see you.